Okie doke. Today is Macro104, and what we want to do today is write our own code. So picking up where we left off on junk the other day, let's go down to the macro organizer and open up this hand-coded module that we created. Let's see, edit. Perfect. And that brings up the screen that we're starting to get familiar with. And today what we're going to do is we're going to make a program that jumps around in sheets and does some stuff. And all we're really trying to do is just get used to playing with this thing. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to set up my newest macro, and we're going to call it the subroutine crawler. And whenever you make a sub, make an end sub. And what I want this program to do is I want it to, no matter where it is in the workbook, to go to sheet 1, go to the top corner, and then it's going to scroll down, and then it's going to put the word, I believe we have a subroutine that does complete, into a cell. Okay, so delete those two things really quick. And just for grins, let's rename this sheet. Let's give it a name, MISSION, Mission Control. And you can be following along with your own sheet while we do this. Okay, going back into my editor, subroutine crawler. So what I need to do for this is I need to tell the computer a few things about what it is that it's doing. So first line, tab in, Control V. Ooh, I just highlighted the whole thing. Let me back that out, Control Z. I meant to only copy a little bit of this so we can talk about how this whole thing works. So with these subroutines, first thing we need to do is set up a variable called this component. And this is just what the computer needs to be able to see. And then you'll see how that gets used in a second. Control V. So I'm copying these so you guys don't have to watch me type because it takes me so long to get things accurate. So ODoc is this little variable in here. Get sheets is something that BASIC knows how to do. And then it gives this variable OSheets a list of all of the sheets in our document. And then from there, what I can do is I can specify where I want to work. Control C. I want to go to a specific sheet, which is going to be this subgenre O sheets, get by name mission control. And as you recall, we a second ago named this first sheet mission control. So what I'll do is have it go put mission control in that variable, and then what I'm going to tell it to do is have the controller move over to that sheet. I know this is a pain in the ass, but this is how the system works. It's a very quirky way of doing things, this new form of BASIC. It's hardly BASIC, as a matter of fact. So this component, current controller select, and that select basically says, okay, controller, I want you to take and go to OSheet. And there's probably a more streamlined way of doing this, and when you read through the forums, you'll see other ways. But for now, this is what we have. Okay, now I'm going to go over to recorded, and what I want to do is in recorded, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to have it go to the top left. So what I'm going to do to make this subroutine run, I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to bump back over to my little piece of code that I'm writing, and I'm going to paste that in there, and then I'm going to add these open and close parentheses. That means it's going to run the subroutine top left whenever it gets there. And then I'm going to do one other thing, and I'm going to put in this little debugging type of clue. It's a print command where it's going to print you did it. Boom. Okay, we'll hit save. And then all I'm going to do is pull this off of my recording screen, and we're going to move up here to mission control. And what I want to do really quickly is I want to create a little graphic. We'll just grab the circle oval thing here, and you've seen this done before. We'll assign a macro to it, and this will populate in a moment. Junk, standard, hand-coded, crawler, assign. So that assigns that macro to that graphic. I'm going to hit OK. The graphic's really big, so let's shrink it down. And there's only one way to know if our code worked, and that's to click this. So it went to the upper left corner, and it gave us this little sign that says we did it. Turn that off. Right click on your graphic, hit copy, and then let's go to sheet 2, and let's paste into here. Let's see if this thing takes us from sheet 2 back to mission control and then does what it's supposed to do. Turns out it does. Awesome. So now we have our macro working for us. I'm bringing this back in. We know that this code that we're executing appears to be working roughly in the way that we had intended. So now what I want to do is I want to add a little bit of interesting types of things to this. And so what we're going to do after it says print you did it, let's make our own variable. We're going to call it count, and then we're going to set count equal to 0. Well, that's pretty easy. And now we're going to do a little looping function. And so I'm going to say while count is, let's say, not equal to 10, I'm going to do something. What will have it do? Let's say, go over here to our recorded. How about if I have it, not text, how about we have it step down? Copy that little subroutine, come back here to hand coded. Give it a little space to make it readable. Step down, boom, boom. What if we say my value of count is now equal to count plus 1? That's interesting. So started at 0, now it's 0 plus 1. Okay, that works pretty good. What if I put in, how about a print? And let's just say print count. Okay, that makes sense. And then we'll go down one more line and backspace, and we'll put in our loop. And let's actually, I missed that one. That should be actually say do while. So do while count is less than 10, step down, count equals count plus 1, print count, and then end the loop. You know what? This tends an awful lot of times to do something. Let's just go to 5, and now we'll hit save. Okay. So to make this fun, we'll click over here somewhere off the cell. We'll go over to sheet 2 where we know we have a trigger, and we're going to pop up to here. Okay, we did it. Next step, 1, 2, 3, 4, hopefully this thing ends. And it appears to have ended. Pretty cool. So the crawler just moves down that column. So coming back up here to our little do while macro. Okay, seeing count show up every time, that was boring. And let's have this say 10. And what if we put in a little if-then statement? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, that was fun. Down in my loop, next return if count equals 10. Then I want to do something. How about if I go over here, and we know that up here somewhere we have a thing called text complete. Control C, back out of the recorded area, Control V, return, text complete. Now I have to put in an ENDIF, that ends the if. Put a tab in that bumps that over to make it easier to work with. See that little apostrophe that I put right here made the print count go gray. That means the computer won't look at that. And I have a very simple if end if sort of look here. And we know that this process worked. So let's go back and see if we can actually run our program. So saved in the basic editor, coming back over here, go to sheet 2, click on this. There's a problem. I'll bring this up so you can see what the problem is. There's a syntax error somewhere. Ah, I see. So we'll get out of this, and what it is I need to have, looks like, not that part. With every if statement comes the classic then statement. So now I have if then and if. Okay. Hit save again. You can see how this process can be really frustrating to mess with. So if then, back over here to sheet 2, click. Okay, it looks like the syntax was right. Scroll down, put in the words complete, and that ended our first crawler type macro. This can take you a long ways. I'm just showing you the basics for setting up your own handwritten routine, and then also setting up a way to have it do some stuff. And that's the key to making this process more powerful, is that if I automate things, you could have it doing all sorts of stuff. It could be looking at is count. I asked it if count was equal to 10. I could be looking for a specific number or a specific date or a specific place in a table somewhere and trying to figure out what to do. Maybe I'll publish a video of a fairly complex series of counters going to work inside of a spreadsheet. But for now, this is your basic first handwritten code, and you can write these things to do all sorts of stuff. Thanks for